Hello, student. We are going to take a look at The Cold Equations by Tom Godwin today. This is going to be the abridged version, which means shortened. The regular short story just a little long. And this version cuts some of that extra stuff out. However, there is some stuff that you kind of need to know. And so there's a separate video from this that you definitely need to watch before watching this. So if you've not seen that video or you weren't in class for that sort of explanation that sets the story up, make sure to go watch that video now. It's 4 minutes, but it will significantly increase your comprehension while we read this story together, which is what we want. We want a high level of comprehension whenever possible, and that video will help us get just that. All right, so let's get rolling with this. The Cold Equations by Tom Godwin. He was not alone. The hand of the temperature gauge had been on 0 when the ship launched. An hour later, it had crept up. There was somebody in the supply closet. He leaned back in the pilot's chair, considering what he would have to do to take a man's life. He would do it, of course. It was the law. Any stowaway discovered in an emergency dispatch ship shall be jettisoned immediately following discovery. The space cruiser Stardust had received an emergency request for medical supplies from an exploration party on Woden. 6 men were sick with fever, and their own serum supply had been destroyed by a tornado. The Stardust sent out one of its emergency dispatch ships. The small ship carried just enough fuel for the weight of one pilot and his cargo. But now there was something besides cargo in the supply closet. "Come out," he commanded harshly. The door opened and the stowaway stepped through it, smiling. "All right, I surrender. Now what?" It was a teenage girl. Now what? Had it been a man, he would have taken the stowaway's identification disc and forced him into the airlock without hesitation. "I surrender," she said again. "So what happens to me now?" "What are you doing here?" he asked. "Why did you stow away?" "I wanted to see my brother," she said. "He's with the government survey crew on Woden, and I haven't seen him for 10 years. "What was your destination on the Stardust?" he asked. "Memer. I have a job waiting for me there. I knew it would be almost a year before Jerry's job was done on Woden. I didn't want to wait another year when I could see him now." She could not be blamed for her ignorance of the law. Yet there had been a sign over the door that led to the section of the Stardust that housed the EDSs. "Unauthorized personnel keep out." There were 2 different survey groups on Woden, so he asked, "What is your brother's name?" "Cross, Jerry Cross. He's in Group 2, she said. Group 1 had requested the serum. Group 2 was 8,000 miles away across the Western Sea. He turned to the control board and cut the deceleration to a fraction of a gravity, knowing as he did so that it could not change the ending. Then he turned the switch that would signal the Stardust. The call would be useless, but he could not bring himself to force her into the airlock as he would an animal or a man. So, just to interrupt for a moment, there's a stowaway on the ship. The ship has just enough gas to get to where it's going, and this is some of the stuff that's explained in the other video. So this the large ship Stardust sent out this little ship to deliver serum, medicine to these people who are going to die without it. But they give this little ship just enough gas to get to where it's going. It can't even leave. The guy's going to have to wait for the Stardust to come back around to get him, which could be months, will be months. And he's discovered a stowaway. Now, he expects it to be a guy who's trying to escape, who's trying to, do something wrong, who knows that he did something wrong. But he's discovered that it's a teenage girl, and she does not realize the perilous situation that she is in. A voice spoke from the communicator. "Stardust, identify yourself and proceed." "Barton, EDS 34GII. Emergency. Give me Commander Delhart." "Barton," the commander barked from the communicator. What's this about an emergency? A stowaway, he answered. Stowaway? That's unusual. But why the emergency call? Asked Delhart. The stowaway is a girl, Barton replied. I see. The sharpness was gone from the commander's voice. I'm sorry. I can do nothing. You'll have to go through with it. Barton turned back to the girl, whose eyes were fixed wide. What did he mean, to go through with it? She asked warily. Her time was too short for the comfort of a lie. He meant it the way it sounded, he said. She recoiled from him as though he had struck her. You mean, I have to leave the ship? But you can't make me. I'll die. I know. But I didn't do anything to die for. I didn't do anything. So she's just learning and putting together that she's not going to have just a little fine to pay or something, that the situation that she is in is dire. And so we will see in the other two sections of the story what they can do to remedy this situation.